All right, Nick. Businessman special that has not been so special. This is going to be one of those shows. It's I don't know. I say that sometimes, Nick. I say it's going to be one of those shows where it's just we're going to have to ho hum it and maybe talk about a couple things that were in the media. But then the show goes an hour and a half, and I don't know how we did it. I don't think that's going to be the case today, but
I hope not.
You never know.
We got a little crackling situation over there in the Fowler Studios.
Well, let me make some adjustments. I'm going to make some adjustments now.
Let's see if we
because I know what the issue was last time, so I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to get that figured out.
All right, you do that. I'm a seasoned pro at this point. Went 37 minutes by myself earlier today. So let's see if we can do it again. You know what? I'm caught up. Strike one to Matt McClain, right down the pike. How we doing, chat? Yeah, I don't like doing this. Oh. Yes, Mouse Cop, the season is over. We're cooked. Toast. Chat, how's our, is it Thursday? I always get mixed up when the Reds have an off day on Monday. It always makes the days feel wrong in my head. I don't know what it is. So when they play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like I'm able to keep my days straight. But when they're off Monday and they do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I always think like this last day, the getaway day is on a Wednesday. I don't know why in my brain. What are the odds Trace comes back? 30%? Oh.
All right.
Sounds good, I think.
All right. I think I'm hoping it's fixed.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right.
Ready to party.
How many outs are there? 2, 3?
We got one. We got one out.
One out. Okay.
TJ Friedel at the plate, 1-1 count.
He's trying to make sure he goes to the All-Star game.
You got a chance for a 4-hit day.
Yeah.
Getting over 300 probably helps his All-Star case quite a bit. I don't really get my rocks off to a 300 average, but some people do.
Definitely. There's like
400 on base percentage. That's what
does it for you.
That's what tickles my fancy.
Man, you are feeling it today. No wonder you got like 6 kids, Nick. Huh?
Just 3 and 1 in the oven.
I know. I just think every time we talk about how many kids Nick has, I think what I'm going to end up doing is have like it's going to add every half a kid every 4 or 5 months. Probably be up to like 8 or 9 kids by the end of the year.
There you go.
So, yeah, tough baseball game.
Felt like you were kind of due for this.
Yep.
Both teams.
Correct. That's why, like, in a way, that's why winning, like, just winning some of those games you're not supposed to win, man, it feels so great, because then when this happens, it doesn't feel like the end of the world, you know?
Yeah. Is this the first game the Reds are going to lose all year where you're kind of like, yeah, whatever? I mean, maybe there's been a couple times, but
I'm sure there's been a few, but yeah, not so many that have been completely like, who cares? Let's move on.
I'll tell you what, I'll give Connor Joe some credit. I'm sure you were dialed in the 7th inning.
No, I wasn't.
He had a great at bat. I think it was like a 9-pitch walk, fouled off some pitches, took some tough ones. So credit to Connor Joe. It was a big league plate appearance.
There you go. I'm gonna have to pull up the game day here so I can keep along.
Nick not allowed back on pregame. Well, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of choice. I think I reached out to 700 people to do the pregame show today, and it ended up being me. So you don't want me on the pregame?
No problem. Nick's fine. Like, all right.
All right, we got a final. We're done.
All right. Let's do a show. We'll see how good we can do one. And I get it. You probably don't want to wait around for the intro, but that's just what has to happen, isn't it?
And a bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. That goes to Lindsay. And the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. He's gone. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Walker. The Reds win the pennant. Hawkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Orlando to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club. Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb. Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again. The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the Laurel Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air,
All right, welcome into a day game special, businessman special. And it was anything but special for the Cincinnati Reds as they would fall to the Minnesota Twins 12-5. Nick, probably going to be a show where we talk about maybe some other things outside of the game to make this worth listening to, I'd like to say. It got off to a decent start again, though. I don't want to sit here and sound like a total optimist because I know people think that I'm this toxic person. But I got to tell you, like, I still am encouraged. I know they got their tails kicked today, 12-5. A lot of that goes back to the starting pitching with Nick Martinez. We'll discuss him in a minute. But they bounced back. Like, they got punched in the face again, and then they responded. And I know that might not seem like a lot, but 10 hits, 5 runs. I got to tell you, that is more encouraging, in my opinion, than losing a 2-0 baseball game today where the offense felt like they regressed. But I don't think they did. And I guess if we want to try to say the glass half full on the 12-5 loss, that's the answer that I have for you.
Yeah, I'll save a little bit of the offense talk for a little later in the show because I have an interesting thing I want to kind of run by you. But to your point, yeah, I mean, they fell down 1-0 early. Byron Buxton, just what a series from him. But they came back, put 2 runs right back. I was doing a little research last night. Reds obviously came in winning 9 of 11. In 6 of those 9 games, the Reds came back and won. And they only have 14 comeback wins all season. So this recent stretch of baseball where the Reds have come back and had these comeback wins was something we just really didn't see all year. And they gave themselves a chance today, and Nick Martinez just didn't pitch well, and there was really never a chance after that. But it's nice to see this team respond when they fall down. And I don't think it's some big culture change that led to this, but it's nice to see kind of that at least flipping.
By the way, I seen that smirk that you had back then. I mean, I seen that smirk that you had.
I was trying to say it.
You were on one.
Trying to say it.
You were on one today. Nick Kirby is on one today. Has anybody noticed this? I mean, I seen the little smirk. You said 6 of 9 games, and you just kind of had a little chuckle to yourself there for just a split second. So, very nice. Very nice.
Okay. So last night I had part of that on the pregame show, and I wrote it in a strategic way. So I didn't say that because I didn't want it to come across. And so I was actually trying to say it here, and then I backed myself into a corner where I couldn't not. And I just started laughing. And
yeah. No, I picked up on it. I seen what you were putting down, which is fine.
It was not intentional.
Right. That's what they all say. All right. Reds fall 12-5, and it wasn't pretty. Nick, you don't need to probably go through a great grand recap by any stretch of the imagination, but as always, we'll stick to the script. Box score recap presented by Nick Kirby.
All right, Reds taking on the Minnesota Twins. Reds looking for a sweep in the 3-game series at Great American Ballpark. Nick Martinez against Chris Paddack. Martinez gave up a leadoff bomb to Byron Buxton. That made it 1-0 Twins. Reds would respond in the bottom of the first with 2 runs on doubles by TJ Friedel and Spencer Steer, and a single from Tyler Stevenson. But the Twins, they pounded Nick Martinez over the next 2 innings, scoring 6 more runs to take a 7-2 lead. Byron Buxton continued his demolition in the series. He hit his 4th home run of the series against the Reds that really put this one out of reach. Martinez did not survive the 3rd inning. His final line, 2 2/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 7 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. That's the most runs Martinez has allowed in a Cincinnati Reds uniform. Gavin Lux did hit a 2-run home run on the bottom of the 3rd to cut the Twins' lead to 7-4, but Lyon Richardson gave those 2 runs right back in the top of the 4th. Twins would take a 9-4 lead. Reds got a run back in the 7th to make it 9-5, but Taylor Rogers gave up a 2-run homer in the top of the 8th to make it 11-5. Luis May really struggled with his command, allowed another run to make it 12-5, and that would be your final. Reds lose 12-5. Reds now 39-36 on the season.
All right, deep drive of the day. It was nice to see. Off the bat of Gavin Lux, Nick said just the other day, man, the only thing missing in Gavin Lux's game is perhaps just a little bit of power, and he provided it today. Although it was in a losing effort, he did have his 3rd home run of the year. That would, at the time, make the score 7-4. The Twins were still leading, but made us feel a little bit better as the win probability would jump 10%, doubling to 22%. But as we all know, it would wind up being 0%. DSC, though, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. This is a pretty straightforward game. I don't want to sit here and try to make more out of it than it is. Everybody has a tough time at some point in their careers, at some outing or some plate appearance or a big moment here or a big moment there. You just don't put your best foot forward. Today wasn't Nick Martinez's day. Do I want to go down the warpath of sitting here discussing his contract and the amount of money he's making and whether or not that was a massive mistake and what they could have gone out and gotten with the money that we paid him? I don't, and I don't think any realistic, reasonable Reds fan would probably jump ship on Nick Martinez just off of one outing. I tell you, he's going to have to be a starter because the depth in the starting rotation is not very good right now, so it's not really like there's other options available. And I think that he's pitched long enough in a Reds uniform that he's earned the right to have maybe an outing here and or there that are not ideal and still feel like he's, not that he's ever going to be a problem, but he's not a problem. And I know that just off the heels of what you watched is not what you want to hear. But the Reds were due probably for their starting pitching to regress a little bit. Do I think this start is the end of it all? Of course not. But what else is there to say? I mean, he was getting shelled all over the yard. It wasn't like he even had bad luck, Nick. I mean, it was a throw the pitch, whip your head around, and look where the ball's going type of day for Nick Martinez.
Yeah, the Twins felt like they had a great scouting report against him. The first 2 home runs that he allowed, they weren't terrible pitches. They were, borderline strikes. The one that Byron Buxton hit the second time was right down the middle. But I don't know. I think the Twins clearly they found something. I hope that's not something that other teams are going to figure out, and it was just something the Twins figured out today. I think Paddack said on the broadcast felt appropriate. It felt like the Twins were very selective, aggressive against Martinez. They weren't swinging like every first pitch, but they had some good spots where they were aggressive and they capitalized. And they hit Martinez around. I don't know with Martinez. He's an interesting cat, man. Sometimes he feels absolutely dominant. Sometimes there starts like this. You hope at the end of the year you kind of look up and you go, oh, Nick Martinez has a 3.6 ERA and pitched well throughout the year. But yeah, I mean, today was ugly. The last start wasn't very good, but the start before that was excellent. So I don't know.
Feast or famine a little bit with Nick Martinez. And the other thing with Martinez that I just mentioned that I think some are maybe disagreeing with is that there's other options. I don't know what other options we're talking about here because I don't know if anybody remembers, but we still have Wade Miley who's going to throw the ball. So if you're going to sit here and be like, well, we got a guy in AAA, Chase Burns, I do. I understand that. And I've advocated, and so has Nick, that we'd like to see him relatively soon if the pitching depth continues to stay the way that it is. But it's not to fix Nick Martinez. So, Nick Martinez is not the top of the line guy that we have to try to find a spot for, or at least reallocate where we're going to put him at. So at the end of the day, I don't really know what else you're supposed to say about Nick Martinez. He's here. Whether you like him or not, he's going to be starting for the foreseeable future, and we just need him to throw the ball a little bit better than he did today, and I expect him to. I really do. He could come out, throw 8 shutout innings next start. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. So,
yeah, I mean, a little bit of concerning with the home runs. I think that's 6 home runs that he's allowed in the last 2 starts. So I hope that's not some trend. I mean, he was on a roll. I mean, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starts without allowing a home run from the end of April almost to the end of May. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm with you. I think there's maybe 5 teams across baseball that wouldn't put Nick Martinez in the rotation tomorrow. So again, he pitched bad today. I don't think it's an indication of the future, and he's a hell of a lot better than Wade Miley. I will die on that hill.
I mean,
there's a hill to die on.
Yeah, I know. That seems like a pretty low-hanging bar there, Nick. I don't know if that's something that you should even have to explain to anybody. We'll see. I mean, it is what it is. All right, let's move on. Gavin Lux finds a way to pull a baseball over the fence today. That was nice to see. Offensively, in general, the lineup, they pounded out 10 hits in today's game. So, Friedel continues to look good. That is the most encouraging sign for me personally when I watch today's game. It's not that the score was what it was. It was that, quite frankly, this offense feels like they continue to put pressure on the defense and the other team outside of just one or two times a game now. And hopefully that continues. And this is the difference maker, in my opinion, for the rest of the season of whether or not this Reds baseball team gets to the promised land. And by promised land, I'm talking about the playoffs. I think their offense has to continue to find ways to score 4 or 5 runs a game. And if they do that, they're going to win more times than not. You tell me that the Reds are going to score 5 runs, Nick. I feel pretty optimistic before the game starts that they're going to find a way to win that game. You can't say that for a lot of teams in Major League Baseball, but I do feel that way with us. And they've kind of hit that mark more times than not, Nick, over the past few weeks.
Yeah, the offense is playing really well. Good to see Gavin Lux. That felt like, man, that's a taking advantage of the ballpark you play in type of home run, which is great. I mean, that's what you want with him. If he can just add a little bit of power to his game, man, that's a big weapon for the Reds to have. So he's had a really nice season. I think there's more in the tank. I think he's the kind of guy that can maybe have one of those 900, 950 OPS months. Maybe it's July for him, when the ball's really carrying. But yeah, that's encouraging. This offense is playing really well. Today it didn't matter, but it will matter more times than not.
No doubt. All right. As always, please remember that there is an anonymous hotline if you're ever in need, 988. You can text and or call day or night. There's also mantherapy.org, has a plethora of resources that you can turn to if you're ever in need of a situation that you feel like you can't handle. It's okay to not be okay. And we, as always, are appreciative of the folks that are always ready at the hotlines at 988 for moments that are a crisis. So, Nick, backside of the rundown here, we kind of have, I guess, the bullpen. Taylor Rogers, whatever the hell that kid's name is. I don't really care anymore. I don't want to say that. I got something for you. You tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Candelario is probably going to take the cake on this. But for somebody that you are paying a certain amount of money to do their job, has there been a more disappointing person than Rogers for what he's supposed to be able to do?
Oh, he's been by far the worst acquisition this offseason. And I mean, if you want to consider Martinez an acquisition, I'd still would take what Martinez has done over Rogers by a mile. But yeah, he's been disappointing. I mean, $6 million for a reliever, you that's almost like you kind of can't miss, right? Like, I'm trying to say this the right way. I'm almost more like, I feel like there's more of a crapshoot with hitters. With pitchers, if you're paying a big chunk of money for a reliever, you better not miss, because those are such a crapshoot already that I don't want to waste money on that. I'd rather throw my money at offense than a reliever. Just, I don't know, because you call up guys and they're great. So I would be shocked if we see a little Phantom Elstead here for Rogers. Feels like the Reds need to go get an extra reliever. I don't think they're going to want to demote May, although May ended up throwing so many pitches. I don't think they want to demote May, because then you're stuck. You can't call him back up unless you have another injury. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see a little Rogers, maybe Phantom IL. Maybe it's finally Zach Maxwell's time. I talked about him last night.
Yeah.
13 out of his last 14 outings is not a lot of run. Now, he's not a polished pitcher by any stretch of the imagination. He could absolutely blow up, but I think he definitely gives you a lot more upside right now. And it feels like the Reds bullpen needs a little more upside.
I feel like that's the vast majority of what bullpen arms are. I mean, I feel like if you were a polished, great arm in the bullpen and you're not a closer for an established what I would call an established team that has kept you around for a while, you're more than likely a failed project somewhere else. And I would say Maxwell at this point clearly has higher upside than I would even say a good amount of guys in our bullpen, period. Now, could it blow up in our face and he comes up here and he gets nervous and he can't throw the ball over the plate, and that's possible. But we're getting closer and closer to the day that I really don't mind if that's the case anyways, because the alternative is to continue to run out guys like Rogers and they don't get the job done. So, and I know Rogers is supposed to be a specialist, you'd like to think, against left-handed pitching or left-handed hitters, but if you can't get guys out, then you can't get guys out. What's it matter? Anyway, bullpen in general, though, I guess outside of that, Luis May did walk some guys. Overly concerned about anything else?
Just the amount of pitches that were thrown today when you got, 6 straight days with the game against two pretty good offenses in the Cardinals and obviously the Yankees. That's why I kind of feel I don't think they want to make a move, but I think they might have kind of put themselves in a spot where they might have to. But there was a lot of pitches thrown today, a lot of innings thrown today. I don't know.
Don't you think a game like today at one point was the role of what Suter was supposed to be? But in a weird way, Nick, it's almost like this staff, and I don't blame them, it's almost like they think to themselves that we might want to save Suter because we might actually prefer to use him over guys like Rogers, over guys like obviously maybe a Luis May or anyone else. I almost feel like somehow, some way, Brent Suter has risen up the ranks that are the bullpen arms, and I feel like he's going to start. I'm not saying he's going to get the highest leverage. I think that's still clearly the big three in the bullpen. But I got to tell you, it would not surprise me in the slightest if Suter starts to find himself in the 6th and 7th innings of baseball games that are close.
Yeah, he did still throw 35 pitches today. He walked 2 batters, so his command was bizarrely a little erratic. There's just a lot of pitches thrown by the Reds relievers today. I'll run down it here. Richardson threw 31 pitches. Suter threw 35. Jabot threw 31. Rogers threw 19. May threw 34. I mean, man, like they were all one inning or 1 2/3 or 1 1/3, but it's a lot of pitches. That's what kind of has me a little bit concerned, just kind of going into the 6-game stretch, where these are teams that you're facing that, and I know the Cardinals are not playing their best baseball right now, but these are teams, especially St. Louis in their home ballpark, that you could have a couple, short starts and kind of get yourself into a tough spot.
All right. There was some comments made, Nick, about whether or not this Reds baseball team was going to just make decisions at the deadline one way or the other. Reports have come out that the Cincinnati Reds would be expected to be buyers, and not just buyers, Nick, but as you put on the rundown here, aggressive buyers. Stock that you put into that, any thoughts that you might have from that?
Yeah, I'll read the full quote for those who might have missed it. This is from Ken Rosenthal. He said on the Foul Territory podcast earlier today. I think it was today. Maybe it was yesterday. He said, quote, "I'll give you one team that I do expect to be aggressive, more aggressive than maybe we would expect. That's the Cincinnati Reds. They have invested a lot in this team already. They've got really good pitching. They've got more pitching coming, and they're a team that seems to be at least one bat away, but a team with some promise. And with Terry Francona, you've invested in him as a manager, but no team goes all in anymore." That was the official quote there. Yeah, I mean, I guess, Rosenthal's pretty dialed in, as good of a reporter as there is out there. So if he's saying that, I would assume he's hearing some chatter that makes him believe that. So that's interesting. I mean, there's still just so much to go. But I guess my question to you, Trace, are we sure that this team needs offense more than they need pitching? Right now, the Reds rank 10th in baseball in OPS, and I get you can say that's inflated, but that's still 10th, okay? And in pitching, their ERA, let's see where it fell down to. They're now in the bottom half in pitching. They have a 3.91 team ERA. That's 16th in baseball. Well, are we sure the Reds don't need pitching more than they need bats?
No, I mean, listen, if you're going to look at me and tell me that this team needs pitching over bats, I wouldn't totally agree. What's their team weighted runs created plus. That's what I'll start there by asking that question. And I guess I'm openly saying that if this staff doesn't get healthy, then I don't really think that it makes a whole lot of difference what you do, regardless. Because we've seen what you get on the open market, Nick, from a starting pitching perspective, and it's not great, is kind of where I'm going to go with this. When you have half the fan base already complaining about Nick Martinez and his contract, the truth is that Nick Martinez, based off what he was paid and the production that he's put out, obviously today is probably not the day to fight this fight, but he's been pretty good. He's earned his keep, if you want to call it that. I don't know what you're going to get from a trade perspective, Nick, that would fix the starting pitching besides just getting healthy. And this is also a franchise and a front office that has showcased that they value trying to utilize their draft picks towards something they don't think they can afford, either through draft capital by trading players, and I should say farm system capital, by trading players, and or by resources by paying for it in the offseason. So I'm just going to openly tell you, when I hear that they're going to be aggressive buyers, it's going to be going out and trying to find a DH. It's going to be maybe trying to go out and find a corner outfielder. That's what I take from it. I just highly doubt they're going to go out and make a major move and get an arm at the deadline. Oh, by the way, most arms at the deadline that people are going to be arguing about whether we should get them or not is going to be guys like the names of Giolito and Lorenzen. Like, that's the type of people we're going to be discussing from a starting pitching perspective. And I'm just telling you, ho-hum, we have some ammo that I'm still okay with giving a shot to. Lyon Richardson, I get it. Maybe you'd say that people are going to kill me for this. I'd rather go to war with Chase Burns, Lyon Richardson, give Petty another chance and see where that goes than to sit here and trade away a bunch of prospects for some mediocre arm at the deadline, personally.
All right, they rank 17th in weighted runs created plus.
All right, it's a little bit.
They rank 16th in ERA. And if you're using weighted runs created plus on the pitching side, it would probably be better to use field independent pitching, which would be the best complement. Reds rank 19th in that. I'm just saying, right. I'm not sure that the pitching's not as I don't want to say big of a concern, but the offense is I think playing certainly a lot better now, especially that's also without Hunter Green. We don't know when Hunter Green's going to come back. Hunter Green was a big part of why that pitching was as successful as it was. I agree.
Can I say this? This is going to be really disheartening for a lot of fans. What I'm going to say, if we don't get Hunter Green back, Nick, what are we doing? What's the goal here? And I guess that's where there's this fundamental difference. And I get it. I'd love to go to the playoffs as much as anybody. Trust me, I would. I mean, I would. I'm not saying I'd cut my right arm off, but I'd be willing to sacrifice some pretty big things to get to the postseason. But like getting to the postseason and getting bounced in the first round, and then also, oh, by the way, you don't have Cam Collier anymore, you don't have Sal Stewart anymore, you don't have some of these other guys anymore. And I get someone's going to sit here and be like, you got to be kidding me. You're worried about these guys that are in AA? What are you worried? It's like, this is why we're never a good baseball team to begin with. And that's part of the fundamental idea that I thought this front office had. I get you have Tito. I understand all that. But I'm just saying, Nick, if we don't have Hunter Green and Rhett Lauder's completely gone for the, obviously, remainder, we need top of the line arms. Andrew Abbott's the only guy we got. Like, my question to you, Nick, would be, if we go into the postseason against a really good baseball team, do you think that we can go find a starting pitching at the deadline that's actually going to be somebody that we believe in, that's going to get the job done?
No, I don't think the Reds should go out and get a frontline starting pitcher. That was what I was going to try to say. I almost think they should. It might be more wise to the Reds to kind of go more in on the bullpen route of trying to add a couple bullpen arms, and that makes your starting pitching better because you can pull these guys earlier because you have more trusted arms, and it's not a couple guys in the bullpen. So that's what my point is I think the bullpen kind of fixes a lot of the whole overall pitching. Because we've talked about a lot, they've relied on a couple guys a lot, so you have to factor in that they might wear down, and then the guys below them have all really not pitched very well of late, other than Brent Suter. So that's why I almost think I think you probably do both, but I don't know. I guess my question, and this is me kind of talking out loud a little bit here, if you went and you added one bat that maybe isn't the most spectacular bat, like I had said, Eugenio Suarez, I think you get him without giving up a ton of prospect because he's owed some money. You get him, and then you add a couple relievers. Would maybe that be better than trying to go out and get one big splashy bat? That's what I'm trying to say here. I think that might be a better way to fix this team without giving up a crazy amount and giving this team the best chance.
Listen, I think there's just so much stuff that has to happen between now and when the deadline is going to become a real kind of discussion point that it'll be interesting to see where this team's at. I mean, I know, trust me, that is not the sports talk thing to do. And I know that that's not the best thing to do for a show like this. It's just to say, hey, we kind of need to pump the brakes here and maybe be patient for a few more weeks to see where the hell we're at. Because it felt like 2 weeks ago, as I've said before, this team had no chance. We're sellers. And we were all, I mean, I was all the way in on selling whatever you had to sell. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you had to choose one or the other, what is this team? They're buyers because of the position they find themselves in. So, you know, I guess that's the beautiful nature that is the postseason kind of format that is Major League Baseball now, is you have a lot of fan bases that probably think that if this goes right and that goes right and the stars align, you still have a chance to have a good season. I just don't want to sit here and act like this is 100% all in. Reds got to do it. And in fact, the thing that you said at the very end there that Rosenthal said was nobody goes all in anymore, which is a very clear indication to me that, hey, you got to temper your expectations of what aggressive means. It might be like one or two pieces instead of just Sam Mole.
Yeah, and he went a little bit more beyond that, talking about just baseball in general. Like, teams just don't do that anymore, because when the Dodgers when the big market teams started really understanding the value of prospects, that's when the small market teams have to be even more steadfast in being careful about trading prospects, because you're screwed. You can't compete with these big markets if you don't have prospects.
Right. No doubt about it. All right. Reds MILB early in the day, so it's pretty difficult, but maybe the schedule. And then obviously if you want to hear about the results themselves, you can tune into the podcast. But Nick, of course, as always, he's got something up his sleeve.
Tough day out in the Dominican Summer League. That's where we went final. The DSL Reds lost 10-0 to the DSL Athletics, and the DSL Rojos fell 8-3 to the Cubs Blue. Adolfo Sanchez 0 for 4, Liberto Aponte 0 for 5, Nabil Mariano 1 for 4. A lot of action tonight. We will have Louisville at 6:35. Big night for Chattanooga. They're going to pick up their suspended game at 5:05. They lead Rocket City 1-0. Then they're going to play a second game at 7:35. Lookouts a half game out of a playoff spot. They have 6 games left to play, 6 games in the next 4 days. I guess not 6 games. It's like 5.8 games if I want to be specific. Dayton there at 7:05. Daytona at 6:30. And the ACL Reds at 9 o'clock. Have all that for you on tomorrow morning's Chatterbox Reds.
That's so. And if you haven't already, please like the stream. I know that many of you are in here and you're very active, and I appreciate that. If you haven't, please hit the like button. Very much appreciative. Quickly before we jump into the who, what, when, where, and why, we do have a super chat from Noah Downing. He says, would it be crazy to trade Hunter Green while he's still valuable? He's good, but we barely use him. Our pitching held up. Let's get some bats while we can. I mean, I feel like I'm just a broken record at this point when it comes to the trade thing, because I say the same thing over and over again, and I don't mean to be like boring or disappointing when I say it, but I mean it. I don't know what you'd have to get in return if you wanted to trade Hunter Green, but it would have to be just a massive amount for me to let go of Hunter Green. The only reason I say that is because if you want to win a World Series, genuinely, and I don't know what the hell the goal is anymore in Cincinnati at times. You know, I think the fan base is kind of maybe splintered on this, because sometimes fans are just like, hey, just you have the lowest of the lows, which is just get me to football season and be relevant. That's all I care about. And then you have some that are like, hey, I kind of want to make the postseason. And then, the thing is, though, is that really the goal is to win the World Series. And that seems so far-fetched. Trust me, as a fan base, that's not seen a team, win a playoff series since 1990 or whatever it's been. I don't even know at this point, 95. You need Hunter Green to be that type of team. And maybe I'm being completely naive to the idea that we're ever going to get there while he's here. But it would be just kind of counterintuitive, in my opinion. Like, you can't trade Hunter Green if you think you have a chance. You can't think that you don't have a chance if you go out and you hire Tito Francona as your manager. So that's kind of my point. Like, if you thought you were just in a complete rebuild and you were years away from competing, I just don't see the idea of why you would get rid of David Bell when he had money left on his deal and you went out and hired Tito Francona. So then you turn around and you're going to trade Hunter Green. And I know that there was an article written about this from a credentialed person that probably was looking for some clicks because they needed to pay the bills. But my main point in saying that is, like, if you're going to trade him, then it's almost a clear indication that you don't think you're even close to playing high-level, meaningful baseball in the postseason. So it just doesn't add up, Nick. So I would just openly say, no, I'm not trading Hunter Green. Can't do it.
I mean, no player's off limits. I mean,
of course.
Sure, someone could offer a package for Ellie De La Cruz that I would say yes, but I don't think anyone's going to even come remotely close to that. I think Hunter Green is probably in the same boat, just like what I said. Teams value prospects more than they ever have before, so they're not going to do that. It might have made more sense 10 years ago to try to shop Hunter Green back when teams would be a little bit more loose with their trades and kind of be
Definitely.
a little more they weren't as patient as they are now. So I won't say never on anyone, but I just have a hard time believing you're going to get close to the value that you have for Hunter Green on an incredibly team-friendly contract for a guy that finished top 10 in the Cy Young voting last year.
And last thing I would say is that the real only reason I would be open to trading Hunter Green is because I knew, something with his health that I felt like was going to be a major red flag, and I was willing to try to sell a damaged bag of goods. But the truth is that if you trade Hunter Green, he's going to have to pass physicals, and there's more than a high likelihood that whatever team you're trading him to is going to find the red flag that you have and maybe nix it in the anyways. So I don't know. I'm just not saying it's a terrible idea. Trust me, I'm not saying that there isn't a situation where it doesn't make sense at all, but I'm not there yet with that. So all right, we got a little more baseball. Who, what, when, where, and why, Nick. I am going to be gone for a minute. So for those that are watching this show, Nick's obviously going to be here for a good amount. Obviously on the weekends we kind of have our Phillips brothers and Mike Hart who kind of cover the weekends. But I am going to take a trip with the family, so it's going to be a minute for me. But we do have more baseball tomorrow, Nick, and tell us all about it.
All right, Reds are going to start a series against the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis on Friday. The Cardinals, they are actually playing a doubleheader. They are losing to the White Sox 4-2 in the seventh inning of Game 1. They have another one tonight. Kind of an interesting situation here with the Cardinals. They actually readjusted their rotation because they were rained out yesterday. So Sonny Gray was not supposed to pitch in the series. He is now going to pitch in the series against the Reds. The Reds were supposed to see the lefty Matthew Liberatore on Sunday, but he is not going to pitch. They're moving him back to Monday. So anyways, your matchups for the series: Friday 7:15, Brady Singer against Andre Palante. Saturday 2:15, Wade Miley against Sonny Gray. And then Sunday 2:15, Andrew Abbott against Miles Michaelis. Cardinals just 2-7 in their last 9. They had a 6-game losing streak at one point in there. The Reds and Cardinals, they split a 4-game series at the end of April. Reds scored just 4 runs over the first 3 games of that series, but scored 9 runs in the series finale. Kind of felt like what the Twins had been doing coming back today. The Reds were swept in that doubleheader that included Chase Petty's debut. And Cardinals, they are going to be in day 2 of 14 tomorrow. without a day off. Cardinals are just kind of a team in a weird spot. They've made some comments about the trade deadline, and they're even probably in a more difficult spot than the Reds because they had pretty much planned to trade at the deadline. Right. They got really hot at the beginning of the year, but now they're kind of folding. They would never say this publicly. I bet there are people in the front office that are on the Cardinals that are hoping that team loses.
Yeah, I don't think that's that crazy to think. I mean, you don't want to deal with the fan base that clearly you're basically put where you have to show your cards, right? You'd like to just throw your cards into the dealer without anybody seeing what you had. That's kind of what I think that the front office probably would like in St. Louis. But if you continue to find a way to win, then you kind of have to show your cards because ultimately, no pun intended, by the way, that you're gonna sell when you're in the mix, which clearly indicates that you never even thought this team at one point ever during the season were worthy of perhaps making the postseason. Which, I guess that goes back to Major League Baseball as a whole, which is kind of unique. One of the few unique sports where I would say you have a certain amount of franchises that are okay with losing because it makes their jobs easier. So, we'll see. Who knows? I mean, the Cardinals clearly are trying to rebuild. I don't suspect they'll be doing anything crazy at the deadline anyways. So, wouldn't it be crazy if they did get hot again and then they sold anyways?
Yeah, I don't want to say it because I don't want to and then just to keep riding that momentum all year. But there's a part of me that, man, wants the Cardinals to get hot, absolutely put themselves in a corner that I know that front office doesn't want to be in. Because I know I follow the NL Central pretty closely in the offseason. It was very obvious that the Cardinals, they were planning on semi-blowing the team up at the deadline, and they were trying to keep guys because they thought they could get more value at the deadline than in the first half. Very similar to the Reds in 2022 when they kept Castillo and Malley till the trade deadline. And I think overall that was a smart decision because I think they got more at the deadline than they would have got that off season. But yeah, there's definitely a case though where the Cardinals get hot, they can't sell their players, and it'd actually be a very, very good thing for the Reds long term. But I don't necessarily want to completely say that and test fate.
All right, yeah, you don't want to test too much fate with St. Louis because they just clearly always find they got whatever runs downstream from Milwaukee. It seems like the only two poor souls in this division are the Reds and the Pirates, and everybody else has kind of gotten some fortune that has come their way relatively in the recent past. So, like the stream if you haven't already, folks. Thank you for watching on a businessman special, middle of the day. I know it's not the easiest time to watch, but as I just said, I am going to take a little family trip with the kids, and so I will not be here for a little bit. I think Craig's going to hold the fort down, so shout out to Craig. Thank you for always really pretty much holding anything down anytime Chatterbox needs you. So I will be out for a bit. I'm going to do my best. I thought about just completely going away and not even having my phone turned on. That seems like a bad idea the more and more I thought about it, but I am going to try to make sure that I'm present, not locked in every single pitch during vacation. But I'll be keeping an eye on it, and who knows, maybe I'll actually phone in for a show or two, take some no free ads, but maybe take some little fireball guys with me just in case that needs to get busted out. Maybe we get hot. We might get red hot when I'm on vacation. And perhaps I can keep the rituals going from afar. So, outside of that,
enjoy your vacation, sir.
I will do that. And I really much appreciate everybody that listens, not only to the podcast in the mornings, but obviously they're in here in the YouTube chat each and every day. Like the stream on your way out, everybody. Appreciate you. Take care. We'll see you again soon.